Welcome to Love in Life, a guide to a positive mindset. My aim is to show you that the key to a happier and more positive mind is to love the life you have. We will look at tips and tools you can use to improve your mindset, and the best thing is, we'll all be on this journey together. Welcome to episode 17 of Love in Life. I am so pleased that you're here with me still. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but the reason why I post my podcast on a Wednesday is because, we call Wednesday hump day. And I like the thought of if people are feeling a bit low and a bit like, about it being Wednesday, like we're only halfway through the week. I like the thought of people thinking, I can listen to Lisa's podcast. And maybe it gets you through the day. Maybe it gets you through to the end of the week. Because we all know that the end of the week is the best. Like once you get to Thursday, you've only got one day left, don't you, before the weekend. So I like to think that I get you through a Wednesday. Even if you don't listen to me on a Wednesday, that's fine. But yeah, that's the reason why I post on a Wednesday. So let me know if that works for you. So how is your week going? I can't complain. The weekend was amazing. So we did, I don't know if anybody does follow me on Instagram. If you don't, go ahead and do it. But if you follow me on Instagram, then you'll probably have seen that Craig and I did Pen y Fan on Saturday, which is the highest peak in South Wales. I want to say it's like the fourth highest peak. I don't know, but it's high anyway, and we did it. It was lovely. We did it with some of Craig's work colleagues. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It did piss down when we were at the top, and it was freezing cold, like sideways icy rain. It was fucking freezing, excuse my language. But yeah, it only lasted for about 10 minutes and we were pretty much dry when we came down, and we finished it off with a lovely meal after, which warmed us up, and a couple of glasses of wine. So yeah, that was really lovely. And then it was funny actually, because I wouldn't say I'm the fittest of people, but obviously because I've got such a good mindset, a strong mindset, I was probably, like alongside a couple of others, I was sort of ahead of most people at any one time. And it was funny, at one point, you sort of like get to almost to the top, and then there's a really steep bit that you have to climb up, and it's almost like bloody rock climbing. And I was starting to feel really tired and actually a little bit dizzy by that point. But I was nearly there, and I looked behind, and I felt really bad actually, because Craig was sort of helping everybody else up, and I'd just gone up ahead because I just knew that I had to get myself through that one little bit. Otherwise, if I stopped, then it was going to be really hard for me to carry on. So I actually have some tips for not just if you're doing a climb. This is for achieving anything in life. So my top tips that I actually did a post about this on Sunday. So my top tips are to make it fun. So we obviously did that with a group of people, and we've done it before as well with the boys. And I think the most important thing is that make it fun. Do things with other people. Things are just more fun when there's other people involved, isn't there? What things can you say that you've done are really fun, truly fun, when you've been on your own? It always involves other people. So involving other people to make it fun. Push through your pains and fears and pick yourself up if you fall. So I'm not going to lie, it was really tough. Like my legs, obviously I've been going to the gym as well, which is probably a good thing, but also because I'd only just I'd done my leg training day about 4 or 5 days before that, and my legs had just started recovering. And then obviously as soon as I started walking up there, I felt it again. But you have to push through and do what you can to just push through those pains and fears. Obviously, pick yourself up if you fall. So I didn't fall, nobody fell. But if you do, you just have to get back up again and carry on. That's the most important thing. Don't let it put you off. Let yourself rest and take a breather when you need to. So obviously in this example, we did have to stop a couple of times just to catch our breath. I felt physically strong, but yeah, I think because we were doing it with people as well, and I was sort of talking to them at points, I was starting to get really out of breath, and it made me realise how strenuous this is actually on your fitness. But yeah, whatever you're doing in life, take a breather when you need to, because sometimes things are going to get hard. Sometimes you need to just take a break and sit back and maybe reassess things. But most importantly, go at your own pace. So because I had a stronger mindset, I was able to go at my own pace. And there was a few others that were at the same pace as me. And then there were a few others that were a little bit behind us. You know, it doesn't make me any better than them. It's not a competition. They were going at their own pace. We all achieved it with minutes within minutes. So, you know, everybody achieved the same goal at the end of the day. And it just goes to show that if you go at your own pace, if you try and keep up with people, you're probably more likely to fail. Whereas if you go at your own pace, then you're much more likely to achieve things. And if you can achieve things sharing this with other people as well, then, you know, what can be better than that? But I will say, achieving something like that it does make me feel so fulfilled, and it really does make me feel high vibe. So on to today's episode. Today is Wednesday, the 19th of October, and today is World Evaluate Your Life Day. So what better topic for me to talk about today? I mean, I have kind of obviously covered a lot of this very briefly in past episodes, but I think it's the kind of thing that you can never do this too much. So this is what I'm going to talk about today. So this episode is going to be quite task orientated. Feel free to just listen along if you want to and take whatever actions you feel necessary from it. But ideally, if you can listen to this sat down with a pen and paper, even if you do it in your head, if you're driving, then do it in your head. But it's very task orientated, so I'm going to get you to think a lot today. So I'm going to go through them in a bit more detail. But the areas I'm going to evaluate today are home, job and career, relationships, finances, health, lifestyle, and self-development. Now, these are areas that I have covered in when I did the vision board episode. You may not have listened to that one. But these are just good, what I find cover most areas of our lives. So I have added the self-development one in further on from the areas that I covered in the vision board episode. But yeah, I just feel that this covers everything. Okay, so let's begin. The first area I want you to think about is home. So I want you to mark out of 10 how you feel about your home. So your home includes your physical home and surroundings, and then the environment in which you live. So let's focus on your physical home first of all. So does it make you feel safe? That's obviously quite important. Is it in the area that you want it to be? Or do you imagine yourself relocating somewhere in the future? Is it too close or maybe too far from family or maybe friends, people that you want to live nearer? Or maybe they are a bit too close and you just want that bit of extra space between you and other people, because that's quite important as well. And then the environment in which you live. So is your home your sanctuary? Do you feel secure there? Is it decorated how you would like it to be decorated? Are there rooms that you want to decorate next? Are there rooms that you want to renovate? All these things add up to how you feel overall about your house. So I want you to mark that out of 10. I'm going to do this with you as I go along. So I'm going to tell you that I have marked my house, my home part of my life, as a 7. Because I absolutely love my home, as you know, but there is so much that I still want to do here. I can't possibly mark it 10 or 9 even, because there is still so much that I want to do here. But I'm quite happy with a 7. You know, I'm pretty happy with that. I've got a plan of what I want to do. But yeah, I'm a 7. So then the next area that I want you to think about is job and career. So this is kind of obvious really, but does your job make you happy? Or is there a burning desire to set up a side hustle or business? Like, how do you feel if you go to the office, how do you feel getting up in the morning and going to the office or going to your job, whatever your job is, whether you're a nurse or a carer or a cleaner, how do you feel about getting up for your job every day? Is it something you can see yourself doing long term? Would you feel happier doing your job if you had a different boss? Maybe you're not particularly happy with your job, but the people around you in your work environment give you the fulfillment that you need to be happy. Maybe you've got a business, but you're ready to grow it to the next level, or maybe you're ready to start employing people. Maybe you're a creative person who sells your work and you really enjoy what you do, but you would like sales to be a bit higher. Or maybe it's all pretty hunky-dory. So again, mark yourself out of 10 here. So I'm going to give myself a 6 here because, as you know, I have just shut down one business, or I'm in the process of shutting down one business, ready to take my next step into my next business. And so I'm still at the very sort of in between early stages of what I want to be doing. So I can't possibly put myself right up there yet. Yeah, so I'm going to give myself a 6. The next area is relationships. So this actually, I'm going to break this down into 3 different sections. So the first relationship I want you to think about is your love relationship. So are you happy with your partner? Do you wish you had more communication? Do you have a romantic partner? Or is that something that you want to achieve? Or maybe you're completely happy on your own. That's fantastic. As long as that's how you actually feel. So mark that out of a 10. I'm actually going to give myself a 9 here because whilst I am totally, truly happy with Craig, but I always think there's always room for something else. There's always room for improvement. So, if I had to say something, we're always working on our communication skills, and that works both ways. That works for both Craig and myself. So that's something that we continually work on to always improve our relationship. In my opinion, I don't think it could ever be perfect. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So that's a 9 for me. The next one under relationships is family and children, if you have any. So how happy are you with your relationships that you have with your parents, with your siblings, with your grandparents? Like, do you wish that you could spend more time visiting your grandparents? Or maybe if you have children, maybe you find yourself losing your temper lots, or that you struggle to be patient with them. Maybe to strengthen your relationship with your parents, you feel like you need to check in with them more, even if you can't get around to see them, if you live far away, or I don't know, whatever your circumstances are, maybe you need to pick up the phone more frequently with them or even text them. So again, rate this out of 10. I'm going to give myself 8 here because I think whilst I've got an amazing relationship with my parents and a great relationship with my siblings, and yeah, I really couldn't ask for more in that department. I'm so lucky. But I could probably spend more time visiting my nan, if I'm honest. And, when she was ill, I was going around to see her every day. She doesn't live far from me. She probably lives, I know exactly how long it takes to walk to her house. It takes 7 minutes. There's no excuse for me not to be going around to see her more often. But as she's, since her health has improved, I've been around to see her less and less because she needs me less and less, and that's fine, but I still need to make that effort. So yeah, that's the area that I need to work on with my family relationships. And with the kids, I feel that we do communicate well. Don't get me wrong, they frustrate me, but they're kids at the end of the day. So yeah, I think an 8 is quite realistic here. And then the final section in relationships is friends. So are you happy with the friendships that you've got? Are you part of a friendship circle, or would you rather not be part of a friendship circle? Maybe that you have a friend that constantly makes you feel negative and you feel the need to pull yourself away from them a little bit. Like, doesn't mean that you can't be friends with them anymore, by the way. Maybe you dream of attracting more friends who have more in common with the person that you are now, because we all change and we all sort of outgrow things and people, and that's absolutely fine. So maybe you want to attract more people on your vibe. And this is where I would say I am, to be honest with you. So I've got plenty of friends. I haven't got a friendship group as such. I have got some really good friends sort of dotted here and there who I absolutely cherish those relationships. But I would absolutely love to have more relationships with people who sort of get who I am now, with this journey that I'm on, with the person that I'm becoming. So yeah, I would probably put myself on a 7 there, because I think there's quite a big area, big gap that I could fill. The next area is finances. So the first obvious question to answer yourself is, do you have enough money to live? Do you have enough money to pay your bills, to put clothes on your back and your family's back? Do you have enough money to buy shopping? If your answer is no to that, then obviously you have your answer there. But if your answer is yes, the next question you could ask yourself is, do you have enough money to treat yourself? Because we all work hard and we all deserve to treat ourselves. So do you have enough money to buy yourself the things that you want to buy? Do you have, maybe you do, but maybe you strive to have more than enough, and that's absolutely fine as well. So you need to be honest with yourself in this area. How much is enough for you? And at this point, I actually just want to say, go careful at this point. And I'm talking to myself here as well, by the way, because I have answered yes to all these questions. We have enough money to pay our bills. We have more than enough to treat ourselves. That's amazing. And I'm very, very grateful for that fact. And that's the most important thing here. So you can still want more, but the important thing is that you have to be grateful for what you already have. If you always want more, forgetting what you already have and being grateful for that, then, by the law of attraction, you're not going to achieve more. So yeah, it's really important to always stay grateful for what you have. And I guess that goes for any area that we're looking at. But I think it's really, finance is something that we all sort of take for granted, but we all want more of. So yeah, be grateful for what you have, but be honest with what you want to have. So I give myself an 8 here, because like I said, we do have more than enough. But if I'm completely honest with you, as I've been honest in the past, I do have areas where I need to work on when it comes to finances. I want to earn my own money. I do earn my own money, because obviously, with the wedding cakes that I've been doing, I do earn my own money, but I don't earn the level that I want to earn. I don't make the contributions towards our lifestyle that I want to make. For me to feel truly satisfied with myself and our finances, I need to contribute as well. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of money mindset work that I need to do, as you very well know, because I go on about it all the time. So yeah, I'm giving myself an 8 in that area. So the next area is health. So we're going to break this down into a couple of sections here as well. Or maybe not break it down, but there's a couple of areas that I want you to think of. No, we will break it down actually. So the first area is physical health. So in terms of fitness, diet, how do you feel about your physical health? Do you want to go to the gym more? Do you want to go out running more? Maybe you think, oh God, I do too much of that, and you want to step it back a little bit. Maybe you want to enjoy more things in life. Do you wish you could eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, or do you want to pay more attention to your macros, which is something I've recently learned thanks to Hayley recently. Hayley's an amazing PT, by the way, everybody. That's something that I've incorporated into my diet more recently, is focusing on macros, mainly protein, to make sure that I'm, obviously because I'm vegan, I'm going off on one now, but getting enough protein in my diet to be able to support my muscles when I'm training at the gym. Maybe there's something that you've been putting off going to the GP about. So these things are all incorporated with our physical health. So I would actually give myself a 9, I think, in physical health. I feel like I'm pretty happy with my physical health at the moment. Mental health is the next area that we need to look at. So how do you feel emotionally and spiritually? So when it comes to mental health, as important as they are, we are not just necessarily talking about mental health disorders. Obviously, if you do have a mental health disorder, then that is absolutely an area to focus on. But also when it comes to mental health, we're also talking about your emotional side. So your ability to cope with anxiety and stress. That is a very good indication of how emotionally, mentally healthy you are. And then spirituality. Spirituality is about seeking a meaningful connection with something bigger than yourself. So whether that is religion or the universe or, whatever you believe to be your higher power, whether you have a higher power, maybe it's something inside of you, maybe it's internal. So rate yourself how you feel about your mental health. Obviously, I'm doing a lot of work on all of these things. So I would give myself an 8 to a 9 here. There's areas to work on, but overall, I'm quite happy with it. And I'm loving the work that I'm doing. So I'm going to carry on doing that. I'm going to put myself in an 8 or a 9. Right, hang in there. We've only got 2 areas left. So the next area is lifestyle. So what you do for pleasure, basically, whether that's reading, whether that's sports, do you have a hobby? Do you want to travel more? Do you want to have more days out with the family? Do you want to have more date nights with your partner? Maybe you're single, but you want more date nights. I'm well aware that doesn't necessarily mean you want a relationship. Personally, I'm going to give myself a 7 here because whilst I have an amazing lifestyle, I would love to travel more. There's so many places I want to visit. And let's be honest, I'm 40 now. I'm probably midlife. So there's plenty of places I want to travel to. And some of them with my family, some of them with Craig. So yeah, time's ticking now for me to start ticking places off my bucket list. And what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, and a hobby as well. I don't really have a hobby. So whilst I love reading, I love doing my self-development, you can't really call that a hobby. So yeah, I've said for years, I want to find myself a hobby, but I've never really found something that really interests me that much. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's something that maybe I should try more things to try and find myself a hobby. I did say I was going to do some golf lessons with my neighbour actually. So maybe that's an area that I need to work on. Okay, and then finally, last but not least, the area that I want you to look at is self-development. So one of the main areas that we look at in self-development is self-awareness. Are you aware of who you are? Do you truly know who you are and what your purpose is? Your self-esteem. How highly do you think of yourself? Do you find yourself talking yourself down a lot? Do you have belief in yourself? Do you know your self-worth? So then with thinking about all these things, is how you see yourself in alignment with where you actually are in your life? Do you manage your time well, or is maybe that an area that you want to work on? So I am giving myself a 7 here. 7 to 8, but I'm going to go with 7. So obviously, as we know, I'm doing a lot of self-development, as I'm sure you are as well. But I do struggle with self-esteem and self-worth and really recognising what I do. So in order for me to change this, I'm actually taking part in some shadow work. And by my next episode, I will have done my first session, and I'm really excited to see what comes out of this. I've done a lot of research into shadow work, and I feel that I've got a really, really amazing coach to help me realize all those sides of me that I didn't know existed. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what that brings up. So for that reason, I give myself a 7 because I'm not naive. There's still a lot to do. So what do you do with all this? So now what I want you to do is have a look at the areas where you've scored yourself the lowest. So the lowest I've scored myself is a 6, and I've got a couple of 7s. So those are obviously the areas of my life that need the most attention. The areas where I've got sort of 8s or 9s, that's pretty high. So whilst I know where I'm going with those areas, it's the other areas that I really need to look at. So with the areas that I have scored myself 6 or 7, and if you've scored yourself a lot lower than that, don't worry. That is what this work is all about. But the areas where I've scored 6 or 7, or whatever is the lowest number you've scored, take that area and work out what will make it a 10. So I've taken my career because I scored that a 6. That was my lowest. So what would make it a 10? So for me, a larger audience of people who see me or hear me would help towards me achieving a 10. Like, is it okay that I want to say I want to be seen and heard? Like, that's not the kind of thing I would normally admit. But I guess when you look at it, that is what I'm saying. I want to be seen and heard. I want my voice to be heard. Another thing that would go towards making it a 10 is to set up my mindset coaching workshops that I plan to set up in the future, and to help people to know that I'm helping people improve their lives. Like, as I've said before, this is what it really boils down to for me, is knowing that I've helped people, even if it's only 3 people, I don't know, whatever that number is. I want to help people. I want to change people's lives. And then I want to be financially rewarded for it. Because if I'm not, then it's not a career. It's not a job. I'm volunteering. And I don't want this to be a volunteering thing. I'm happy to do things for free. And I will always give tips and tools for free, as I do with this podcast. But to make it a job, to make it a career, I have to be financially rewarded for that. And in order to do that, I have to ask for money. So then with those things that I've addressed that will make it a 10, I need to go back over those things, and I need to make plans, and I need to set goals. So how can I grow my audience? I can do this through Instagram, social media, through my podcast, just continue doing what I'm doing. Sometimes the only answer is patience. Like, I have to continue being consistent and doing those things that I'm doing in order to build my audience. It's not going to happen overnight. I have to have patience. So sometimes, yes, it's great to set goals and to have plans, but you do need a level of patience for certain things as well. So I want you to do this with every area that you've picked up on where you could improve it to a 10. Work out the things that will make it a 10, and then break it down and work out what you need to do to get there. And like I said, I want you to do this with every area that you've picked up on. When you're doing this, you need to be honest with your goals. So like I said, like I've just said to you, I have to be honest and say, I want to be seen and heard. I want to charge people money. This is work that I need to do. Work out what work you need to do. Work out what you need to be honest with yourself about. And then do the work. Obviously, it helps to set habits as well. And if you listened to my live on Instagram yesterday, I talked about habit stacking. So this is where, I may have talked about this before, but this is where you take one current habit you have and then build another new habit onto that. So, for example, I always have a cup of coffee at 9 o'clock in the morning. And if you want to, say, for example, manage your time better on a daily basis, the habit you take is something that's already in place. So my morning coffee, after I have my morning coffee, or whilst I have my morning coffee, that's actually quite a sensible, proactive thing to do, multitasking. as I drink my morning coffee, I manage my day. I plan my day. So write a list of things that you want to get done for each hour of every day. So that's how you habit stack. So you take one habit and you say, after I do this habit, I then do the next habit, which is the one that you want to build into it. Does that make sense? And that is something from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. I cannot recommend that book enough. It's one of the best books I've ever read. Right. So why is it so important to regularly review our lives, evaluate our lives? So things change. Like how I wanted my life to be a year ago is probably different to how I see it going now, because things change, circumstances change, your friendships, your relationships change. So the outcomes are going to be different as well. So things you want out of life are going to change. So that's why it's so important to regularly do this task. And I would say probably doing it every 6 months to a year would be great. And then you can have a look and see where you are this year compared to how you were last year. And if you see the areas that you've scored yourself a 6 or a 7, if they then make it up to a 7 or an 8, then you know you've made great progress. You know, you don't, things aren't necessarily going to go to a 10 within a year. And that's absolutely fine, because, you know, I think the best progress is slow progress. As long as you can see some progress in these areas, then you know you're on the right path. So things change. Our desires change. New things that we want in life pop up. So you need to incorporate these into your desires and your goals in life. And maybe you've accomplished something, and then maybe you have reached a 9 or a 10 in one area. So then, you know, if you then continually reevaluate your life, then other areas might start dipping. So, you know, if another area goes down to a 6 or a 7, then you know that you need to work on that area. So it's so important to carry on doing this, guys. And I'm thinking this is probably going to be one of my first workshops. So if somebody has found this episode interesting and feels that they could benefit by being guided by somebody to do this work, because it sometimes can be a little bit daunting to do it on your own, or you won't stick to it. Maybe you need a bit of accountability. I'm thinking that, you know, in a few months' time, this is probably something that I'm going to do as a paid workshop. So please do let me know if you're interested in that. That would be great if I could have some early interest, but this will be something I'm doing. So there we go. That is reevaluating your life, or evaluating your life, because it is Evaluate Your Life Day. I hope you've enjoyed evaluating your life. If you could pop over to Instagram and let me know. You can use my link tree, the link that I'll put in the show notes. That will take you to, you can either message me, you can go to my Instagram and message me there. So yeah, as always, I would love a review. I've got some lovely reviews coming on now on Apple. That's the most important thing, guys. If you can review on Apple, that would be amazing. So if you listen on Apple Podcasts, it should be quite straightforward if you actually go into my show and then click on review, rate or review, that would be amazing. So I just want to say, I really hope you do this task, evaluate your life. This might be the first time you've done it, in which case it's evaluating your life. But yeah, it's such a powerful thing to do. And if you feel that your life is pretty happy, but you know something's missing, then this is a really good way to identify what it is that's missing if you're not quite sure. So this is such an important activity to do. And as always, if you need any help or advice, you know where I am. So whatever day of the week this is that you're listening to me, I really, really wish you the very best of the rest of the week, an amazing weekend, and I look forward to speaking to you again next week. Bye-bye, guys.